This is Robert Merglacci, the MindShare Learning Report. We're pleased to bring you part 2 of our Global Learning Edition, and I have the good fortune of interviewing Michael Furdyk, co-founder of Taking It Global. Good morning, Michael, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Robert. Glad to be here.
Now, you were just across the world and traveling. Perhaps you can share with us your recent travels, both in Asia, in South Africa, and as well as out western Canada.
Sure. Well, a few months ago, we actually worked with Microsoft in Singapore organizing the Regional Innovative Teachers Forum, and we brought about 20 of the most innovative students all across Asia together with about 150 of the most innovative teachers that Microsoft identified. So that's an exciting partnership, and then I spent the last few weeks in Zimbabwe and Tanzania with one of our board members and at the World Economic Forum for Africa. So really trying to stay connected with the work we're doing to reach young people in Africa who don't have the same amount of access that we take for granted here.
I was just going to comment on that, like fresh water, for example.
Exactly, and even internet and technology there are so much more mobile. So Taking It Global, the initiative I created, is a website for young people to get more involved in social issues, but their mobile telephones are the main way they get connected to the internet most of the time. They're always on their mobiles, whereas an internet cafe or an internet connection may be a lot harder to get. So it's reminding us of how important it is.
And we're seeing a greater trend towards that, and almost leapfrogging the notion of netbooks. And the recent innovation of the iPad, and it's being launched in Canada. Mobility is key, and there are devices. There was that initiative from MIT with Negroponte. Did you see
One
any?
laptop per child. Yeah. I didn't see that where we were in Africa, but I think the overall trend towards mobility, even here in North America, is an exciting one because it means you're getting students away from the keyboard and the desk and out into the environments where they can actually interact with things. So we're excited to be working on a new project around deforestation with this group at Microsoft, and really getting the students out into their environment, looking at trees, understanding that concept and having that technology where they are and where they're investigating these issues is so critical.
And it really speaks to that whole notion of project-based learning, and you're not tethered any longer, and it's very exciting. And we're seeing that trend towards mobility most definitely, in having interviewed RIM, for example, and they're projecting in the next 5 years their growth is going to double each year.
Wow.
So at the post-secondary, higher ed level, there's a lot of traction there. And then, of course, coming down to the K-12 level. Now, you were just out in Western Canada dealing with an interesting issue around participation and health. Perhaps you can shed some light on that.
Right, and that kind of ties into mobility. I think we really want to make sure that young people are getting out into the natural environment and interacting with their physical spaces and public spaces. And obviously in BC, they've got a great amount of natural habitat, just like we do here in Ontario. Theirs is a little more textural and beautiful. But I think that same concept of combining project-based learning and actually combining social issues like environments and climate change is something we're excited about at Taking It Global, because it gets the students really involved and connected to issues that actually matter, and we think that's the key to engaging them in their learning. Not just having them learn about trees and the environment, but doing that while understanding the broader issues around climate change and deforestation that they can do something about.
Well, that whole notion of healthy mind and healthy body is really critical going forward, and there is a tendency with our youth today to be a little more sedate with their them being so connected. And I believe a stat I saw from a report was 52 hours a week on media, and so there are certainly dangers there in losing their fitness. For sure.
Well, I think the challenge we have is that the entertainment industry has done such a good job of building all these interactive, immersive environments like Second Life and World of Warcraft and games and tools, and we need to invest in our education system and in partnerships and organizations like I think what we do at Taking It Global to make sure that same immersiveness is there in education. That you can get as immersed about learning about political science or learning about geography as you can about playing World of Warcraft. And that's really the challenge.
Right.
Education today has to compete with a much richer offline, outside of school experience than it did 100 years ago.
Fascinating. Now, you are in over 250 countries around the world. You've got 4.5 million users and over 300,000 members. Those numbers are very compelling and staggering, and it didn't happen overnight.
Right. This is our 10th year.
Nothing comes easy.
10 years, yeah. It took almost 10 years to get to this point. And we've got a long way to go, but we're excited because we now have over 2,000 schools that are part of our TIG effort, really connecting their students, using our website, using our resources and content, global gallery artwork from students around the world, really connecting and sharing classrooms around social and global issues. And so we're in over 104 countries with schools, and like you said, over 200 countries with young people. So we're really excited about that audience and that network and the potential that has for learning, but I think we're only 1% of the way there. There's still tens of thousands of schools around the world.
So lots of growth, lots of opportunities, and we're certainly happy to help spread the word through the MindShare Learning Report. And we're all about, you know, leadership, learning, and technology, so our missions mesh very nicely. But you're a nonprofit, and so funding is always an issue, sustainability. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about that, the challenge that you face.
Well, as a charity, we do have a unique model because we provide a lot of services and support to schools. We do professional development. We do keynotes and workshops and supporting teachers to really get a handle on how you can build these 21st century skills with project-based social global learning. But at the same time, we also are trying to ramp up our individual support campaign, getting more teachers in schools to actually support our charitable education programs. So this year we have a goal of $100,000 of individual donations to taking it global. So we're hoping
that seems like a pretty reasonable goal, and we like to contribute to charity, so you have our commitment to make a contribution and support you for a wonderful cause.
That's right.
And so, well, best of luck, and good luck with your new initiatives.
Thanks.
And it's been a pleasure speaking with you this morning.
Great.
And that was Michael Furdyk, co-founder of Taking It Global. This is Robert Martelacci of the MindShare Learning Report, and until next time, keep the learning curve steep.